If you're wondering why it looks like I haven't slept in 48 hours, it's because I haven't slept in 48 hours. My parents don't know that this happened to me, so if you're my parents, leave. I'm 20 now, for reference. When I was 16, I was on Instagram. Instagram was popping, it was live, it was whatever. I'm also very obsessed with Justin Bieber, if you don't know this about me. So back when I was 16, I had a fan page dedicated to the Biebs himself, and it was called Writing Jerry. Don't even want to explain what that means, but that's what it was called. And basically, I was on there, I was making friends, there was cool people on there, we all would just like collaborate and be like, oh my god, Justin Bieber did this today, Justin Bieber did this today, and it was cool. Anyway, there was like 3 people on there that were boys, or claimed they were boys, and they were like boy believers is what. This is so embarrassing, oh my god. So they were boys, and so one of them became my friend. He had a very interesting name, so I'm gonna change his name to Ryder for the sake of the story. Ryder messaged me and was like, I think you're really cool, you seem really funny based on your posts. Obviously he liked Justin Bieber too. And so he was like, you got Kick? And Kick was popping back then. I was like, hell yeah, I got Kick. We started messaging as friends, and then it became like an everyday thing. We were messaging all the time, 24/7. And then I was like, well, why don't I just give you my number? So then we started texting. And yeah, it was still just like a friendship thing. And then, I don't know, I guess over like the span of like 6 months, we got like mad feelings for each other. And I was like, well, let's Skype. He's like, well, no, because when I meet you, I want it to be the first time you see my face. I want it to be special. I don't want you to be tired of me. So my dumbass was like, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I was like, I get it. Okay. And then a few more months went by and I was getting angry. I was like, okay, I clearly like you, and we were in a relationship. We were like dating, exclusive dating this. And this is so embarrassing. So I was like 17 at this point, and I was like, we have to Skype. Like, this has gone on too long. We have to Skype because we're not meeting because we were in high school. There was no way I could be like, hey mom, can I go meet this boy who lives halfway across the country that I never met before that I'm also in love with? No. So I was like, we have to Skype because this is a real relationship, and it can't fully blossom until like some kind of face-to-face action happens. And basically he was like, okay, well, how about I just call you? And because we didn't even call. We didn't even talk on the phone. Okay, so he was like, I'll call you. How about that? And so he calls me one day. I told him I was like going to the gym or something, and he called me during that period, and I didn't have my phone, and I was like, I looked at my phone and I was like, missed call from Ryder. And I was like, texted him, I was like, or I tried to call him back and he didn't answer, and then I texted him, he's like, you missed it, I called you. And then I had said I was going somewhere else like a couple days later, and he called me then, and like I didn't have my phone again. Like, he would wait until he knew I didn't have my phone on me to call, and then I would be like, call and try to call him back, and then he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy, blah blah blah. And so then I just got like frustrated. I feel like I can't express to you. I felt like I was in love with this person. He was everything that I look for in a guy. He was compassionate, and he was able to like hold like real conversations. And he was really good looking. Yeah, and he was just like the whole package. And I was like almost kind of like letting things go because I liked him so much, and 2, because I was like, he is way out of my league, and like I can't let this guy slip from my hands. Like, he's too good to be true. A year and a half went by, and that's when the show Catfished with like Neve and Max started coming on. I started watching episodes of that with my family, and my family would be like, wow, how are people so dumb that they let this happen to them? And I was sitting there like, then I started just like arguing with him, like, listen, like I would be like, oh, did you see this episode of Catfish? It's kind of like our situation, blah blah. And he'd be like, oh yeah, I saw it. It's a really good show, you know. And so I was like, okay, maybe he's not a catfish, because what catfish would say they love the show Catfish? Like the more I started watching it, the more I was like, okay, I feel like I'm being catfished. So then we just were arguing every single day. I was like, you're catfishing me. I don't think you're real. Did you see this episode of Catfish? You're just like that guy, blah blah. If you don't Skype me right now, it's over. He's like, I'm really insecure with how I look, and I don't want to say the wrong thing, and I don't want to mess this up. So if you can't respect that, then we should just take a break. So I was like, fine. So we ended up taking a break, and I didn't talk to him for probably 4 months. And I like missed this boy so much. And I don't really fall for people easily at all. Like, I haven't had a boyfriend in forever, but like it takes a lot. So I was really into this guy. And so I'm like, 4 months passed, and like every song reminded me of him, everything on TV reminded me of him. I was like, I felt like I was going through like a real like breakup. And so 4 months passed, and I kind of moved on, still kind of like sad about it. And then he ends up messaging me out of the blue, and he was just like, I really miss you, I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, like forgiven, you're forgiven. It was like that easy. Year 2, this is year 2, when he was like, I promise we will Skype as soon as I get like my new phone or something like that. And I was like, yes, okay, yes, we're making progress. At this point, I'm 18, and I'm like, we're both 18, as he claimed. And I'm like, why don't you just come see me now? Like, we're 18, like, we just come see me. And he was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. We're gonna meet. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna come see you in a like, I think spring break was coming up or something. He's like, I'm gonna come see you for spring break. So we'll wait to Skype, because I want it to be like the first time we see each other. I want it to be like magical and blah blah. And I was like, fucking fine, I will wait, because it was like right around the corner. So I was like, okay, I'll wait. So as I'm like lovey-dovey with him again, like just waiting for spring break, thinking he's coming, I'm 18, I'm an adult, I'm living life, I'm so excited about this, like what this relationship could have like blossomed to be. So this is how I figured out that he was a catfish. One day he was like, oh, do you have this app called Spotify? No, I didn't know what that was back then, but he's like, you should download it, it's really cool, it's good for music. And I was like, okay. So I downloaded Spotify, I made a playlist, and then he was like, oh, add me. And I was like, okay. So I went to add his playlist, right? Went to add his playlist, and he told me his username was Ryder R. It was a different username. It was just a name, Ryder Spec. We'll say his last name was. So I was like, okay, that's probably him. And so I click Ryder Spec, and I'm scrolling through his music, and it was just straight rap. And this like caught me off guard, because the writer that I was talking to for 2 years only talked about indie music, like indie and EDM type music. He never talked about rap. And this person had like Eminem, like Wiz Khalifa, like just like, I was like, what? Like, this makes no sense. And so I was like really, really skeptical all of a sudden, but I didn't message Ryder. I went to Instagram and I typed in Ryder Spec on Instagram, and I found another Instagram page with the same picture, but more pictures than what was on the Instagram that I originally met my Ryder on. So I was scrolling through the pictures, and there was tagged pictures, like he had friends tagged, and like you could go to his friends pages and they had him tagged, which my Ryder didn't have any tagged pictures. And he had like more followers and just like all this stuff. He had a school page dedicated to him for the sport he played, and it was like super official. I was like, wow, this is the real person. And my life literally came crashing down. I was at a doctor's appointment in the waiting room, and I was sitting there like, Like I was ready to kill someone. Okay, so I sent a message to this writer spec person, like Instagram DM. I wanted to see if maybe my writer spec and my writer, like maybe my writer had like a separate Instagram account, like a personal one. So I just wanted to just check before I like jump to assumptions. So I like messaged him. I said, "Are you mad at me?" Because that way, if it wasn't really him, I would know. It's confusing, but I would know. And writer spec, the real guy, messaged me back and said, "How could I be mad at you? I don't even know you." Oh. And my heart dropped. And that's when, like, immediately I like went to my text messages, started messaging my writer. I was going up. I was like, "I know you're fake." I sent him the screenshots, the DMs, blah blah. I was like, "I know you're fake. You're full of shit. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you so much. You wasted 2 years of my life. Like, you are a liar." I mean, I went off. I went off the rails. Okay, I was so hurt and so angry, and I felt so stupid. Like, I knew, my gut told me, but I just went with it. I went with love, guys. I went with love. So then my writer blocked me on everything, like his fake Instagram, his fake Twitter. He didn't answer any of my texts, my calls, nothing. He just stopped talking to me completely. And I was like mad because I was like, no, you're fake, but you owe me closure. Like, you owe me answers. I deserve answers. I started messaging the real writer spec, and I was like, basically, "Listen, I don't know if you know this, but someone is catfishing as you for years. I've been in a relationship with your catfish." Basically, writer spec was like, "That's really crazy. I'm sorry that happened to you." And he's like, "Do you have the number, like the number of the person you've been talking to?" So I sent him the number because I was very angry at the time. And so I was like, revenge, we're getting revenge. And so he's like, "Wow, that's my area code. That's where I live." I looked up the number using some app, I don't know, and he said he thought it was someone he went to school with. I was like, wow, that's evil. So eventually, I got a text from my writer spec. We're gonna call him Catfish now. I got a text from my catfish, and they were basically like, "What do you want me to say? I didn't want this day to ever happen. I knew it was coming. I didn't know what to do. I'm sorry that I let it go on this long, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Well, you're giving me answers." And Catfish was like, "Okay, ask me whatever you want to ask me." And I was like, "Do you go to school with the real?" He was like, "Yes, I do." I was like, "Are you obsessed with him? Like, why do you have all these accounts pretending to be him?" And he was like, Catfish was like, "No, I hate that guy. He's a douche. Don't talk to him." And I was like, what? I was like, "What's your name? Like, send me a real picture of what you really look like. I want to know." And he was like, "No, I can't do that because I go to school with the real guy, and if you send it to him, he'll like beat me up." It was like a battle. Like, he didn't want to do it for the longest time. And then the real messaged me and was like, "The second that you figure out who did this to you, like who was catfishing you as me, if it's a dude, I'm gonna kick their ass." This is exact words. So basically the catfish was like, I don't want that to happen, and I don't want the school to make fun of me. Like, it'll be everywhere, everyone will know. I've known you for 2 years, regardless of if you've lied to me or whatever. I would never like out you on purpose. I would never out you and like set you up for anything like that, like humiliation or violence or anything like that to happen to you. And so they finally told me their name. And it wasn't Ryder. It was a girl whose name was, we'll change the name, Sarah. A girl. And I was like, what the fuck? She sent me a picture of herself. I was like, "So you're lesbian?" or bi, right? And she goes, no. And I'm like, whoa, wait, this is you. So you're not even a lesbian. Not only are you not the person I thought you were, you're not even a guy, you're a girl. And you're not even into girls? So what were you, 2 years? What were you doing with me? Basically, that was the end of it. I know that's like a horrible ending, but I cut her off. I forgave her for everything. I don't even care anymore. This happened 2 years ago. I'm over it. Let this be a lesson. Do not trust anyone on the internet who will not Skype you or FaceTime you or something. Everyone has a camera. Everyone has a phone. There's no reason. Just please don't talk to people on the internet unless you met them on Twitter, because Twitter friends are lit. Alright, this video is over. You guys can get back to your lives and I can get back to my internet person life. I will see all your faces. I won't see any of your faces. You will see my face in a couple days. Alright, hugs for my loves. Bring it in. Yes, this feels so right.